Alright, Nerd Nation, it's time to nerd up or shut up. I am Cousin Cheeto. I am here after taking a brief hiatus from doing some personal projects here on the channel. Now I'm going to be coming back to you with my top 40 DC animated original movies. And what I'm going to be doing here really quickly is I'm just going to be taking the entire Bruce Timm run of from 2007's Superman Doomsday all the way up through Justice League Dark Apokolips War with the addition of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Batman. I know it's not technically along that line, but I wanted to add it because it's my list and, you know, it makes it an even 40. So how this is going to line up is I'm going to make this in 5 videos. So it's going to be 40 through 31, 30 through 21, 20 through 11, 10 through 5, or 10 through 6, and then 5 through 1. So if you fancy, I mean, you know, try to start at the beginning and work your way back. I might even upload the whole shebang after I'm done into one big long thing. So without further ado, let's get into my top 40 DC animated original movies. Number 40 on this list is going to be a movie that I want to dig a little bit deeper into, but I promise we're not going to dive deep into every single one of these movies. But this one is the last on my list because it's got a lot of problems in it, and it was very ambitious, but I just feel like they did it better later. And this movie is going to be Batman Gotham Knight. Now, the reason why I feel like this story was just not good and not well executed was it was 6 stories, 6 artists, and 6 directors, and it just feels all over the place. But yet it's supposed to be interlocking, and I see where they were trying to interlock it. On top of that, it's in the Nolan verse, which I'm not a huge fan of. So, you know, this type of storytelling can be done well, and I feel like it was done better in the Green Lantern Emerald Knights story that we will talk about later in this list. But I mean, I'm going to kind of break it down between each story and just kind of give my quick thoughts on them. But as always, overall, Kevin Conroy is always a win for Batman. Of course, duh. I mean, slam dunk. Not really. As I said, the 6 different stories, Kevin Conroy cannot save this. You know, I mean, he's great. He just can't save it. And the first story is, Have I Got a Story for You? And this breaks down 4 different kids telling 4 different interactions with Batman and Batman chasing down some kind of high-tech criminal as we kind of work our way backwards through the story of this. Artwork's muddy and horrid. I hate it. It's kind of creative storytelling wise, but just the artwork just killed me. I couldn't keep up, not keep up. I couldn't just keep into it because it was so bad. That's really, I mean, the ending was okay. Still, Batman looks terrible in this whole thing. I mean, I know they were trying to go for very abstract, but just terrible. I mean, and this is not a good way to start off your animated movie. And this is the 3rd one in your franchise run. No, I didn't like it, you know. And as I said, on top of it, it's supposed to take place in the Nolan verse, and I still just wasn't feeling it. The second one was Crossfire, and I actually enjoyed this one. I enjoyed everything about it. The artwork was good. You know, the story was good. This was I kind of like this offshoot story of these 2 detectives, you know, just trying to kind of feel out Jim Gordon and the Batman dynamic. So that was actually really well done. The next one is Field Test. Not a fan of the artwork on this one. Bruce Wayne basically looks like Squall from Final Fantasy VIII. The Batsuit, in my opinion, is terrible in this one, and he creates deflector shields. And although in the end they do give a reason why we never see it again, because, you know, Batman gives a good reason that, you know, it's his life to give, not someone else's, because someone almost died from deflecting one of the bullets. But still, it's a little weak, I feel like. It dwells in in the darkness dwells. I hate the art in this one too. Very muddy, very kind of crazy. The fight scene was pretty cool, but other than that, I didn't find much going for this one. Working through the pain. This is after, you know, Batman gets beat to hell, and he's kind of going through the memories of, you know, how he learned how to suppress his pain by, his training in the mountains. Which may line up with the Nolan verse or may not. I don't know. I don't care. It does show a lot of his mortal side, but at the end he's like digging through this like pile of guns in the trash, and it's another weird moment. Like, I get the trauma there, but it's just another weird moment. And then finally Deadshot, where actually this is another one I have no complaints on. The artwork is pretty solid. I think Deadshot looks more like Where in the World is Deadshot San Diego. Carmen Sandiego's calling for copyright payments. And, once up close, I don't like the fact that Deadshot was just a wuss when Batman was up close with them. That was kind of a little bit of a letdown. But, I mean, he's a guy who fights from afar, but still, like, I've seen many versions of Deadshot, and this one was definitely one of the weakest. But this was much better than a lot of the other stories in this one. Overall, so the story was good. If there was a little bit more consistency with everything, I think it like artwork and direction and even dynamics, I think it would have been much better for me. And that's really it for this one. I know that, I dove a little bit deeper into this one than you guys were probably hoping, and it's not going to be like this for everyone, but this one I really wanted to dig into because I just had some major issues with it. Number 39, All-Star Superman. All-Star Superman is... I know what it was trying to do, and again, I'm not a fan. The artwork is good, but this is just a blah Superman movie. It almost feels like Gotham Knights gone Superman, and although the artwork is consistent, it still suffers from that. There's just so many things going on, like the superhero pissing contest between Superman Samson and the other forgettable guy that I don't even remember. I don't like the voice acting for Superman or Lex Luthor in this one. And honestly, I mean, it's just underwhelming. That's all I have. Number 38, Justice League God of Monsters. I don't have much for this one, only because it's a Elseworld story that's not my cup of tea. In this one, Superman is Zod's son instead of Zor-El's son. Batman is a different version of Man-Bat, and Wonder Woman is more aggressive, more temperamental. That's all. That's all I got out of this one. And really, it's an Elseworlds, but to me, it was a poorly executed Elseworlds. Not my cup of tea. Bring on the Injustice League, I guess. I don't know. Number 37 is Batman, Assault on Arkham. Can we please just call it Suicide Squad, Assault on Arkham? I mean, it was a Suicide Squad movie, and this is what I hate. I hate it when they take something that is clearly something else, but they put Batman on it, or Justice League on it, because they're too afraid to let it stand on its own. And I get why they do this, I just hate it. This is really kind of a fun romp for the Suicide Squad, but really it's a carbon copy of the Arkham Asylum game towards the end. Like, the third act is just completely Arkham Asylum gone, in movie form. I don't have much else to say about this one. I mean, Harley was okay. Deadshot was much better than his Gotham Knight counterpart. And Amanda Waller is always badass. I mean, she's just one of those necessary evils that you have in this universe. And she's played out pretty well. Voice acting was also pretty solid on this one. Number 36, Son of Batman. So this is the first movie in the New 52 line of DC original animated movies that gets on this list. Okay, so this one is obviously my least favorite out of any of these movies. And here's a small couple reasons why. Is Ra's al Ghul lightsaber blocking automatic weapons during the beginning was just a bit much. I was immediately taken out of this movie. Actually, I had this movie higher on my list, and then I rewatched it preparing for this, and I'm like, oh my god, this is far worse than I could ever imagine. So, yeah, this one definitely moved down the list from where it was. very early on. I don't like Damian. I hate the prodigal son bullshit. And then him beating Deathstroke at the end was just more bullshit. The only bright spot in this movie that I can really find is that it was nice to see Killer Croc and Man Bat getting some love in the Batman universe. I did enjoy their characterizations in this movie. I thought that Killer Croc was actually fleshed out pretty well, and Man Bat was even more fleshed out, which was very, very nice. Really, the end fight between Damian and Deathstroke was just hilariously dumb. I mean, I even said this when I first watched it years ago. How do you get impaled? Like, he got stabbed through both of his forearms, and yet he's still holding a sword, doing flips. Like, you don't need to be a physician to know that that's just not possible. Damian's hands would not be working. He would not be holding a sword. I'm not saying you have to be smart to figure this out. I'm saying you have to be human to figure this out. And just a lot of this movie was, and then the creation of the Man-Bat army and the way that they were taken out, and, you know, like, there were so many issues with this movie, and just, it made me so sad. Not really because I hate Damian, and this was focused on Damian, but I like Nightwing, and this was Nightwing's first appearance in the New 52 universe. So, yeah. Number 35 is Justice League New Frontier. This is a nice little Elseworld focus on the Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and the Flash, more or less. I know that you see Wonder Woman and you see Superman and Batman and all, and they're all in this, but I feel like they really put the focus on Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and the Flash. And I appreciate that in this one. That's why it's, not at the bottom of the list, truth be told, because it's not exactly my cup of tea as well. It's set in the 50s, and actually in the final fight, Superman's out of most of the final fight. So this is nothing incredible in my opinion, but it's not terrible either. And I think this is the second movie in the DCAOU run, and I think it was a good one. Good attempt. But everything beyond, a lot of the stuff beyond this, at least, up the scale, except for the following movie, which was, coincidentally, Batman Gotham Knight. Number 34 is going to be the first full movie in the New 52 DC animated universe. And that's going to be Justice League War. Justice League War really was a good fight scene at the end. The rest of the movie was just kind of everybody coming together. Somewhat of a shit show, in my opinion. Batman and Green Lantern were okay of a dynamic. But honestly, there could have been so much better. Cyborg had his origins, which was also okay. I think Young Justice did it better, but it's pretty much the same thing. Wonder Woman and her ice cream bit was just terrible. And they did better in the Wonder Woman movie, truth be told, the live action movie. And her fish out of water was just so annoying. Like, it wasn't even done well. It wasn't even done remotely well. It was just annoying. They tried to play things off for laughs that weren't really that funny. The fight with Darkseid was pretty good. They kind of stopped in the middle, captured Superman, took him back, tried to assimilate him, and then Batman went in to get... the final fight was good, but a little... It was nice to see Green Lantern start to kind of show his leadership chops, but at the same time, they really didn't commit. Like, they just... By the next movie, the next Justice League movie, he's not even really a pivotal character. Like, it's just... He's just there. So, if they would have kind of progressed that story about him kind of taking the reins as being one of the core leaders... and also, Green Lantern's got a whole universe to protect. So anyway, but long story long, this movie just, it had too many things that irked me. It had too many things that just didn't really line up, in my opinion. And honestly, a lot of the dynamics and voice acting just didn't match up for me. Superman was too college age frat boyish. Wonder Woman was too ditzy. Batman was... Batman, whatever. Green Lantern was too cocky. Cyborg was too mopey. And the Flash was just there, and he's just like, and Batman pays Flash the compliment. He says he does efficient work. Well, yeah, because he can go like the speed of light, for crying out loud. That's all I got to say about that one. Number 33, Superman Unbound. Okay, so this one originally was like way down on the list. I know, it's 33, and you're like, God, how much lower can it go? This one was really low on the list when I first made my list years ago. And actually, upon second viewing, I actually liked it better than a lot of the other movies that came before it on this list. The only thing I really don't like about this movie is Lois Lane's art design. I don't like the goth look for her. Nothing against goth people. I just don't like that design for Lois Lane or even anything. It's just kind of weird. She just doesn't. She looks out of place. I don't know. The other thing I really didn't like was they tried to do the imply that Clark is gay. It does track, and it's kind of funny, but it's kind of like, okay, haha, yeah, okay, we get it. Really, this is just a middle-of-the-road Superman story. Nothing to really write home about. The ending was very interesting and clever, in my opinion, which, it is kind of how the end happens in the comic book for Superman Brainiac storyline. Minus the Kent Farm destruction, but that kind of happens in another Superman movie that we'll get to on this list too. But really, the only difference is that Brainiac in the comic book says that the shrunken cities cannot survive outside the pot. So that kind of presents the conundrum of how do we bring these cities back out. Whereas in this movie, Metropolis already gets shrunk, and then they just kind of set it down on the ground, and they do something to it, and the city's back, and yay, there's no repercussions. That does not seem like that would fly. There would be infrastructure issues. There would be, like, sewage issues. You can't just take a whole section, and it's not even the whole city. It's a section of the city. You didn't even take the city. So I didn't like that ending very much. I really feel like they should have stuck with, trying to stop them from shrinking Metropolis and succeeding, rather than shrinking Metropolis, getting in there, releasing Metropolis back into the world. And then I think they went and took Kandor somewhere and got it normal sized. So I guess, I'm glad it was standalone. Number 32 is Superman versus Shazam. So this is a special one. This is a DC showcase. It's a nice idea because you have this, I want to say it's like a 25 minute original movie, which is Superman and Shazam versus Black Adam. And although it showcases a lot of the great stuff of like, Superman's weakness to magic, Shazam's origin, Black Adam kind of coming into his own as a villain. It also showcases some of the other DC shorts that we had come before it, like Green Arrow and the Spectre and stuff like that. Really, the only one that I can really comment on is the Green Arrow one, which is by far one of my favorite shorts. But going back to Superman and Shazam, I just thought this was a really well-rounded Superman Shazam movie. I really think this would have been another one that would have really done well in the New 52 era later on, just because you had an established Shazam from Justice League War, and you had a decent Superman. So it's like you could have really actually pulled that into a whole movie where they're facing off against Black Adam. And I really would have enjoyed that. But, this is a really good one-shot kind of... Well, this thing is a good one-shot with all the showcases in it, and I think it just does a really good job at portraying Superman and Shazam and the dynamic that they could have in even a live action movie. I've always said in the live action movies, I really think that Superman or Man of Steel 2 should have Shazam in it. I really feel that that in Shazam 2, Superman could be in it. Like whichever way you go, and you could introduce Black Adam or have a follow up to the Black Adam movie in there. I always thought that dynamic was great, and this is really my first experience with that, and it really kind of pulled my intrigue. All right, last on this one list, and this is the other one that I'm going to just really, really kind of dig into. Well, maybe not dig into, maybe just rant on. Batman Hush. As you can see from behind me, right there over my shoulder, Batman Hush is one of my favorite Batman comic books. I grew up collecting Marvel comics. I know I'm a Marvel mark. But Batman Hush is one of those comics that just was so superbly executed that honestly, if they changed anything in this, it probably would have killed it, and it did. Batman Hush, oh God, I can't even, I don't even know where to start. A lot of this movie was good, and that's why it's so high on the list as it is. Otherwise, it would be much, much lower. The problem is the end. And the Riddler is one of my favorite Batman villains. Screw Joker. I like the Riddler. So for them to take the Riddler and divulge him to just a final fight boss, you would think, oh yeah, this is great. No. In the end of Batman Hush, we have got a stellar verbal confrontation showdown between Riddler and Batman at Arkham Asylum. Riddler's been caught. He got caught in the middle of the movie and the comic book. But Hush is still out there doing things. And then you've got all these other pieces in play. It is a seriously a chess match just being played out to perfection. I mean, the comic book is so good about portraying this being a chess match. And actually, if you look at the comic book over my shoulder there, it's kind of glared, but you know, Riddler is the one playing chess with the pieces, and it just is so well done. So for this movie to take the Riddler and divulge him into just a final boss because he went in the Lazarus pit, now he's bald, he's got a question mark burned in his forehead, and now he can fight or whatever, you know, just no. Like at the end, it's supposed to be, Hush is still supposed to be a mystery at the end. I'm sorry. We did not need the resolution of Hush. You know, whoever he is. It was left ambiguous. Was it Harvey Dent? Was it Tommy Elliott? Was it somebody else? And they left it. Or they just put it as the Riddler. And I feel like that's the biggest cop-out they could ever do. I wanted that verbal confrontation between, you know, Kevin Conroy and the voice actor who played Riddler, which I thought did a good job. I wanted that confrontation on media, and we didn't get it. All we got was a fight scene that was kind of okay with that, and this movie let me down so bad. And it's not because it was so bad. It was because the comic was so good and the movie just let me down. So yeah, is this movie terrible beyond belief? No, actually it's pretty good up until the end. But for me, this was one of the biggest this was going to be my new number one if they stuck generally to the comic book. And they just stole my nerd heart, and they took a bite out of it, and they showed it to me, and they busted it right in front of me. This was part 1 of my top 40 DC animated original movies countdown. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please tune in for the other parts. I appreciate you giving me the time of day. See you in the next one.